Dr. Rivesh had seen thousands of patients during his 12 years at the Galactic Medical Station. He considered himself prepared for anything. That confidence shattered when he opened the file for his next emergency case. The words glowed red on his screen. Classified under Deathworld protocol. His three-fingered hands trembled slightly as he scrolled through the information. Species, human. Origin, Earth. Classification, Class 12. Deathworld. His throat felt dry. In his entire career, he had never treated anyone from a Deathworld, let alone a Class 12. Most civilized species came from peaceful garden worlds with gentle weather and few predators. Earth was different. Earth was a nightmare planet that should not produce intelligent life. The database entry made his skin crawl. Gravity 1.3 times galactic standard. Atmosphere containing highly reactive oxygen that corroded metal and caused aging. Millions of lethal microorganisms per cubic meter. Weather systems capable of leveling cities. Tectonic activity that randomly destroyed land masses. Over 70% of the surface covered in liquid that could drown most species. The list went on for pages. How did anything survive there, much less build spaceships? A message blinked on his screen. The patient was arriving in 2 minutes. Rivesh stood up and smoothed his medical coat, trying to calm his racing hearts. His species, the Fellerin, came from a low-gravity world with stable weather and careful population control. Violence was almost unknown in his culture. Now he had to treat someone from a world that killed for sport. The door slid open. 2 station security guards wheeled in a medical bed. On it lay the human. Rivesh forced himself to look. The creature was tall, even lying down. Its skin was a pale tan color, marked with dark hair on its head and face. Blood, bright red and oxygen-rich, stained bandages wrapped around its left arm and torso. The human's eyes were closed, but its chest rose and fell with steady breaths. What happened? Rivesh asked the guards. Loading accident in Bay 7. Heavy container fell on him. His crew said he pushed 2 workers out of the way before it hit. The guards left quickly, clearly uncomfortable around the Deathworlder. Rivesh did not blame them. He was uncomfortable too. He approached the bed slowly, his medical scanner held in front of him like a shield. The scanner's results made no sense. Body temperature, 37 degrees. That was fever level for most species. Blood pressure, readings so high they indicated immediate cardiovascular failure. Heart rate elevated to combat stress levels. Bone density, 3 times normal. Muscle fiber, aggressive, fast-twitch configuration designed for explosive force. Everything about this creature's biology screamed danger. Yet the human just lay there, bleeding and unconscious, looking almost peaceful. Rivesh began his examination. The left arm showed a compound fracture with bone protruding through skin. Severe lacerations crossed the torso. Internal bleeding in the abdominal cavity. For any normal patient, these injuries would be critical, possibly fatal. For a human, he had no idea. He started treatment working carefully. The bone needed to be set and stabilized. He reached for the injured arm, expecting resistance or pain response. The moment he touched the human's skin, its eyes snapped open. Rivesh jumped back, his heart's hammering. The human stared at him with strange, forward-facing eyes, predator's eyes. Then the creature did something unexpected. It smiled. "Hey, Doc," the human said, its voice rough with pain. "Sorry about this. I hope I'm not causing too much trouble." Rivesh stood frozen. The human was apologizing. To him, "No trouble," Rivesh managed to say. "Please remain still. You are severely injured." "Yeah, feels like it." The human tried to sit up, then winced and lay back down. "How bad is it?" "I need to know if I'll make my shift tomorrow." "Your shift?" Rivesh could not believe what he was hearing. "Sir, you have multiple fractures and significant trauma. You will not be working tomorrow." The human sighed. "The captain's going to be annoyed. We're already behind schedule." He looked at Rivesh more carefully. "You seem nervous." "First time treating a human?" "Yes," Rivesh admitted. There seemed no point in lying. "Don't worry, we're not as scary as the files make us sound. Well, mostly." The human grinned again, showing flat white teeth. "Name's David Reed, what's yours?" "Dr. Rivesh." He moved closer, gaining confidence. The human was actually trying to make him feel better. "I need to set your arm. This will cause significant pain. Go ahead. I can handle it." Rivesh prepared the bone-setting procedure. He applied local anesthetic, though he worried it might not work on human biochemistry. He grasped the arm, feeling the dense muscle beneath the skin, and pulled. David's jaw clenched. Sweat appeared on his forehead. but he made no sound. He just breathed steadily through his nose until Rivesh finished aligning the bone. That wasn't so bad, David said, though his voice was tight. Rivesh stared at him. That procedure should have caused screaming. He had seen tough soldiers from warrior species cry during bone setting. David had barely reacted. Your pain tolerance is remarkable, Rivesh said quietly. Broke my leg when I was 10, fell out of a tree. This hurts less than that did. You fell from a height as a child? Kids do that on Earth. We climb things, explore, test our limits. It's how we learn. Rivesh began treating the lacerations, his mind spinning. This human had survived a childhood that sounded like a series of survival scenarios, and he spoke about it casually, as if breaking bones was normal. As he worked, David talked. He described Earth, his family, his job on the freighter. He showed Rivesh pictures on a small device. His daughter smiling, his wife laughing. Their home, a simple structure surrounded by green growing things and blue sky. The images changed something in Rivesh. This was not a monster. This was a person, a father, someone who pushed coworkers out of danger and worried about missing his shift. Your vitals are stabilizing, Rivesh said after an hour of work, but I need to monitor you. Human biology is different from what I'm trained for. Thanks for taking care of me, Doc. I know the Deathworld label makes people nervous. It does, Rivesh admitted, but I am learning that labels do not tell the whole story. David smiled again, and this time Rivesh found himself smiling back. Perhaps treating a Deathworlder would not be so terrible after all. He had no idea how wrong he was. Or how right. 3 hours passed since David first opened his eyes. Rivesh sat beside the medical bed watching the monitors with growing fascination. Everything about human biology defied his medical training. The broken bone was already showing signs of healing. Cellular regeneration happened at speeds he had only seen in species with expensive genetic modifications. White blood cells swarmed through David's system like tiny warriors, attacking any foreign material with aggressive efficiency. The human body was not just alive. It was at war with everything around it, every moment of every day. You look confused, David said. His voice sounded stronger now. Your healing rate is extraordinary, Rivesh replied. He gestured at the screen showing David's cellular activity. Most species would take weeks to reach this stage of bone repair. You are doing it in hours. David shrugged with his good shoulder. We heal pretty fast, I guess. Never really thought about it. How is this normal for you? Evolution, probably. Earth doesn't give you much choice. You either heal fast or you die young. David shifted on the bed, trying to find a comfortable position. Want to know something funny? Humans used to be even tougher. Our ancestors survived ice ages, famines, plagues that killed half the population. We're actually softer now than we used to be. Rivesh felt his skin prickle. Softer? This human had survived injuries that would kill most species, and he claimed his ancestors were stronger? Tell me about Earth, Rivesh said. He pulled up a chair. Medical monitoring could continue while they talked. The database entries are alarming. David laughed, then winced as the movement pulled at his injuries. Yeah, I bet they are. Where should I start? Your childhood. You mentioned falling from a tree. Right, that was on the family farm. We had these big oak trees, must have been 30 meters tall. My brother and I used to race to the top. I got cocky, grabbed a dead branch, and down I went. David's eyes went distant, remembering. Landed on my left leg. Heard the crack before I felt the pain. My mom rushed me to the hospital, they set it with a cast, and 6 weeks later I was climbing again. You returned to the dangerous activity that injured you? Well, yeah. Can't let one fall stop you from having fun. Besides, I was more careful after that. That's how you learn. Rivesh tried to imagine a childhood where breaking major bones was considered a learning experience. He failed. Feller and children were kept in carefully controlled environments until they reached maturity. The idea of letting them climb to heights where falls could cause injury seemed like criminal neglect. What else did you do as a child? Rivesh asked. David's face brightened. Oh, lots of things. Swimming in the river, even though it had strong currents. Hiking in the woods where we might see bears or wolves. Building forts. Playing in thunderstorms until Mom made us come inside. Normal kid stuff. Each activity David described sounded like a survival scenario. Bears were large predators. Wolves hunted in packs. Thunderstorms produced lightning that could kill. Strong currents caused drowning. Yet David spoke about them with fondness, as if they were cherished memories rather than traumatic events. Did you not have safer activities? Sure, but those were boring. Kids need challenges. We need to test ourselves, push our limits. It's built into us. David paused. Maybe it's different for other species. But for humans, danger is part of growing up. It teaches us what we're capable of. Rivesh made notes on his tablet. This was important information. Human children actively sought out danger as part of normal development. Their species had evolved to require stress and challenge. What about your immune system? Rivesh asked. The scans show constant cellular warfare inside your body. Right, germs and stuff. Yeah, Earth is full of bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites. They're everywhere. In the air, water, soil, on every surface. Our bodies fight them off constantly. David scratched his head. I read somewhere that we have more bacterial cells in our body than human cells. Most of them are helpful, though. They live in our digestive system and help us process food. Rivesh felt faintly ill. You have alien organisms living inside you? Intentionally? We need them. Can't digest food properly without them. We have this whole ecosystem in our gut. Trillions of tiny things working together to keep us alive. David seemed amused by Rivesh's reaction. You guys don't have that? No, our digestive systems are cleaner, more efficient. We do not require symbiotic organisms, Must be nice. We get sick if our gut bacteria get out of balance. Have to eat fermented foods or take supplements to keep everything working right. The conversation continued for another hour. Rivesh learned about human senses, sharper than most species despite humans claiming they were weak. He learned about human temperature regulation, allowing them to survive in extreme heat and cold. He learned about adrenaline, a chemical that flooded human bodies during danger and temporarily made them even stronger and faster than normal. My sister once lifted a car, David said casually. Lifted you mean a transport vehicle? Yeah. Our dad was working underneath it when the jack failed. Vehicle started to crush him. My sister was 16, weighed maybe 50 kilograms. She grabbed the bumper and lifted it enough for Dad to get out. David smiled at the memory. She tore muscles in her back and arms, but Dad was okay. That's what matters. How is such a thing possible? Adrenaline. In extreme situations, our bodies unlock limiters. We can access more strength than we normally have. It damages us, but it can save lives. David's expression turned serious. Humans are built for crisis. We function best when things go wrong. Rivesh sat back, processing this information. Humans were not just resilient. They were designed by evolution to thrive in chaos. Their bodies kept reserves of power for emergencies. Their minds stayed calm under pressure. Their first instinct in danger was not to flee but to help others. You mentioned family earlier, Rivesh said. May I see the images again? David pulled out his device and showed him. His daughter, 7 years old, playing with some kind of animal. His wife working in a garden full of growing plants. Pictures of Earth's landscapes, beautiful and terrifying. What is that creature with your daughter? Rivesh asked, pointing at a furry four-legged animal with sharp teeth. That's our dog, Bruno. He's a German shepherd. It is a predator. Well, yeah, technically, but he's domesticated. Been bred for thousands of years to live with humans. He protects our daughter, plays with her, keeps her company. He's family. You keep predators as family members? Dogs, cats, even some people have snakes or spiders as pets. We bond with other species easily. It's a human thing. David scrolled to another image. This is my daughter with her cat Whiskers. Cats are obligate carnivores, pure predators, but Whiskers is gentle with her. Animals respond to how we treat them. Rivesh looked at the images of predators living peacefully with a human child. It should be impossible, yet there it was, documented proof. A chime sounded. David's vital signs showed all improvements. The infection risk was minimal. Recovery was progressing faster than any model predicted. You will survive this easily, Rivesh said. Your body is remarkable. Thanks, Doc. And thanks for not being scared of me. Some species see the Deathworld label and won't come near us. I was scared, Rivesh admitted. I still am a little. But I am also fascinated. You are not what I expected. What did you expect? A monster. A violent creature. Something dangerous, David nodded slowly. Yeah, I get that. The thing is, we are dangerous. Earth made us strong, tough, hard to kill. But it also made us care about each other. When everything is trying to kill you, you learn that survival means working together. We're dangerous, but we're not cruel. Rivesh thought about that as he updated his medical notes. David was right. Humans were dangerous. But danger and evil were not the same thing. He looked forward to learning more. Rivesh arrived at the medical bay early. eager to check on David's continued progress. What he found instead sent ice through his veins. David was unconscious again. His skin had taken on a grayish tone. Temperature spiked at 40 degrees. Heart rate was erratic. The monitors screamed warnings in sharp beeps that echoed through the empty bay. Infection. Somehow, despite all precautions, an infection had taken hold. Rivesh ran a full scan, his hands shaking. The results appeared on screen and confirmed his fears. An unknown microorganism was spreading through David's bloodstream. It was not from Earth. David's aggressive immune system, so effective against familiar threats, did not recognize this alien bacteria. The infection was winning. No, Rivesh whispered. He pulled up treatment protocols, searching desperately. Standard antibiotics might not work on human biochemistry. They might even make things worse. Some galactic medicines were toxic to species with oxygen-based blood. He contacted his supervisor, Dr. Suresh, a senior Faliran physician with decades of experience. Put the human in medical stasis, Suresh said immediately. Contact the human embassy. They can send a specialist. The embassy is 3 days away, Rivesh argued. He might not have 3 days. And stasis is dangerous for humans. Their cellular activity is too aggressive. It could cause brain damage. Then what do you suggest? You are not trained for deathworlder medicine. One mistake could kill him. Doing nothing will definitely kill him, Suresh's face showed concern. You care about this patient? He is my patient. Yes, I care. Be careful, Rivesh. Emotional attachment clouds judgment. The call ended. Rivesh stood alone in the medical bay watching David's condition deteriorate. Every minute counted. He had to do something. David's eyes fluttered open briefly. Doc, I am here. Rivesh moved to his side. Save your strength. What's wrong? Feel like garbage. You have an infection. Something your immune system has not encountered before. I am working on treatment. David's hand reached out weakly and grabbed Rivesh's arm. The grip was still surprisingly strong despite the illness. You can fix this. I trust you. Those words hit Rivesh hard. David trusted him. A dying human, far from home, placed his life in the hands of an alien doctor who had never treated his species before. That trust meant something. I will not let you die, Rivesh promised. David smiled faintly. Good. My daughter needs her dad. His eyes closed again, consciousness fading. Rivesh pulled up every piece of information he had about human biology. He studied David's blood work, his cellular structure, his immune response patterns. An idea formed. It was risky, maybe impossible, but it was a chance. He could create a custom treatment using David's own immune cells as a template. Take samples of the white blood cells that were still fighting, analyze what they were trying to do and help them do it better. Synthesize a medicine based on human biochemistry, rather than galactic standard. It meant working through the night. It meant using experimental techniques. It meant he could kill David if he made a single mistake, but doing nothing would definitely kill David. Rivesh began work. He extracted samples of David's blood and isolated the most active immune cells. Under the microscope, he watched them attack the alien bacteria. They were trying, but the bacteria had defenses they could not overcome. He needed to give them an advantage. Hours passed. Rivesh's eyes burned from staring at screens. His hands cramped from precise manipulation of cellular samples. He drank bitter stimulants to stay alert, ignoring his body's demands for rest. Around midnight, Dr. Suresh appeared in the doorway. You are still working? I am close. Another few hours. Suresh approached the workstation and examined what Rivesh was doing. This is highly experimental. The medical board would never approve this in time. Then I will not ask for approval. If you fail, your career is over. You could face criminal charges for unauthorized treatment. Rivesh looked at David, pale and still on the medical bed. If I do nothing, he dies. I can accept the consequences of trying to save him. I cannot accept watching him die when I might help. Suresh was quiet for a long moment. Then he rolled up his sleeves. Show me what you need. 4 hands work faster than 2. Together they worked through the night. Suresh's experience guided Rivesh's innovation. They synthesized a broad-spectrum antimicrobial that would enhance David's immune response without harming his cells. It was like creating a key for a lock they had never seen before, hoping it would fit. Dawn light filtered through the medical bay windows when they finished. Rivesh held the injector containing their creation. His entire career, possibly his freedom, rested in this small vial of modified medicine. His vital signs are failing, Suresh observed. If you are going to try this, it must be now. Rivesh approached David's bed. The human looked so fragile now, so unlike the strong person who had talked about climbing trees and lifting vehicles. His chest barely moved with shallow breaths. I am sorry I could not ask your permission, Rivesh said quietly. I hope you meant it when you said you trusted me. He administered the injection. Nothing happened at first. The monitors continued their grim readings. David remained unconscious and still. Rivesh felt his heart sink. He had failed. All that work, all that risk for nothing. Then David's temperature dropped by 1 degree. Then another. His heart rate steadied. The blood scans showed something remarkable. The enhanced immune cells were spreading through his system like reinforcements arriving at a battle. They attacked the infection with coordinated efficiency, destroying the alien bacteria that had nearly killed him. It is working, Suresh breathed. By the ancestors, it is actually working. Rivesh watched the monitors with tears in his eyes. David's color improved. His breathing deepened. The infection markers dropped steadily. Within 3 hours, they were almost gone. Within 6, David's body had cleared the infection completely. His eyes opened around noon. Doc, you look terrible. Rivesh laughed, exhausted and relieved. You nearly died, but I didn't because of you. David's hand found Rivesh's arm again. Thank you. Thank you for trusting me, Rivesh replied. And thank Dr. Suresh, he helped save you. David looked at the older Felleran physician. Thank you both. I won't forget this, Suresh nodded. Rest now. Your body needs time to fully recover. As David drifted back to sleep, Suresh pulled Rivesh aside. What you did was reckless and brilliant. The medical board will want to study this treatment. You may have created a new protocol for treating deathworlders. I just did not want my patient to die. You did more than that. You showed that we can bridge the gap between our species and theirs. That deathworlders are not beyond our ability to help. Suresh placed a hand on Rivesh's shoulder. You should be proud. Rivesh looked at David, sleeping peacefully now, his body healing itself with renewed vigor. I am just glad he will see his daughter again. You should rest too. You have been awake for over 30 hours. Soon, I want to monitor him a bit longer. Rivesh sat beside David's bed, watching the steady rhythm of his breathing. Somewhere on Earth, a 7-year-old girl still had her father because 2 alien doctors refused to give up. That meant more than any career achievement. He finally allowed himself to close his eyes just for a moment. When he woke hours later, David was sitting up in bed, looking much better. A small smile crossed his face when he saw Rivesh wake. You fell asleep in the chair, Doc. That can't be comfortable. I wanted to make sure you were stable. I'm stable. Hungry, actually. Think the cafeteria has anything humans can eat? Rivesh laughed. After everything they had been through, David was worried about food. I will find out, life continued. But something had changed between them. They were not just doctor and patient anymore. They were friends. 2 days after the infection crisis, David was sitting up in bed without assistance, eating something the station cafeteria had created based on human nutritional requirements. The food was bland, according to David, but edible. His recovery continued to amaze Rivesh. Cleared for discharge tomorrow, Rivesh announced, checking the latest scans. Your bone has healed remarkably. The fracture site shows strong fusion. Another week and you would not even know it was broken. That's great news. The crew will be glad to have me back. David paused. Though I'll miss our talks, Doc. Rivesh felt the same. Over the past few days, David had become more than a patient. Their conversations had taught him more about humanity than any database ever could. The door opened. 3 humans entered, all wearing the same uniform as David, marking them as his crew. They were different sizes and shapes, proving humans had significant physical variation. One was a tall female with dark skin and gray-streaked hair. Another was a shorter male with pale skin and bright blue eyes. The third was a female with medium brown skin and kind eyes. David? The older female said warmly. She approached and hugged him carefully, mindful of his injuries. You scared us. Sorry, Patricia. Didn't mean to. You never do. She turned to Rivesh. Doctor, I'm Patricia Hayes, captain of the freighter Wandering Star. Thank you for saving our engineer. I did my job, Rivesh replied. You did more than that. We read the report. You created a custom treatment from scratch. Patricia's expression was serious. That took courage. Our people remember those who help us. The male crew member stepped forward. I'm Walter. I was one of the guys David pushed out of the way when that container fell. I owe him my life. I'm Ruth, the other female added. I handle cargo management. David's always looking out for us. They brought food from their ship, real human food. Walter opened containers, releasing smells that made David's face light up. Is that coffee? Fresh brewed. And Ruth made her famous cookies. You brought cookies to a medical bay? David laughed. Brought enough for the doctor too, Ruth said, offering a container to Rivesh. Try one. Chocolate chip Earth Classic. Rivesh took one of the small brown discs cautiously. He sniffed it. Sweet, slightly bitter, complex aroma. He took a small bite. The texture was interesting. Crunchy outside and soft inside. The taste was unusual but not unpleasant. Sweet with hints of something richer. What is chocolate? He asked. Plant-based food from Earth, Ruth explained. Comes from cacao beans. Humans love it. It contains compounds that are toxic to many Earth species, David added. Dogs can't eat it. But humans process it fine. We actually get a mood boost from it. You eat something poisonous for pleasure? Rivesh asked. Most human foods are poisonous to something, Walter said cheerfully. He poured a dark liquid from a container into a cup and handed it to David. Coffee is toxic to lots of animals. So is tea. Garlic, onions, grapes, lots of things we eat regularly would kill other species on Earth. Rivesh watched them share food and stories, their easy companionship obvious. This was what human social bonding looked like. They teased each other gently, laughed often, and showed constant physical contact. Small touches on shoulders, brief hugs, friendly nudges. Tell me about your ship, Rivesh said. What do you transport? Everything, Patricia answered. Medical supplies, food equipment, raw materials. We run routes to colony worlds and frontier stations, places that are too remote or too dangerous for the big corporate haulers. Dangerous routes? Unstable systems, pirate activity, stations in contested space. Someone has to supply them. Patricia sipped her coffee. Human ships take the difficult jobs. We can handle environments that would stress other species. Like running routes through radiation zones, Walter added, or systems with unpredictable stellar activity. Our ships are built tough and so are we. Is that not risky? Rivesh asked. Everything is risky, David said. But those frontier stations need supplies. Colony worlds need medicine and food. We help people. That matters more than safety. Ruth nodded. Humans are good at going places others won't. Good at surviving when things go wrong. So we go where we're needed. Patricia pulled out a data pad. Doctor, I want to show you something. She displayed images of various worlds. These are places we've delivered supplies in the last year. This one is a mining colony on a high-gravity world. This one is a research station in a system with dangerous solar flares. This one is a farming colony dealing with harsh winters. Each image showed challenging environments. Yet humans were there, working, building, helping. We're not special, Patricia continued. There are thousands of human ships doing this work. Going to difficult places, taking the jobs others avoid. It's what we do. Why? Rivesh asked. Why seek out danger and hardship? Patricia considered the question. Because we can. Because someone has to. Because we remember what it was like when Earth was our only home and we had nowhere else to go. We had to handle everything our world threw at us or die. Now we're out here. And we see other species struggling with things we know how to handle. Feels wrong not to help. Walter leaned forward. Also, humans get bored easily. Safe, easy routes are boring. We like challenges. We like solving problems. Difficult jobs are interesting. That seems to be a pattern with humans, Rivesh observed. You seek challenges rather than avoiding them. It's in our nature, David agreed. Earth made us problem solvers. We're happiest when we have something to overcome. They talked for hours. Rivesh learned about human ships, designed to withstand damage that would destroy normal vessels. He learned about human colonies on worlds other species considered uninhabitable. He learned about human entertainment, which often involved simulated danger and competition. We have sports where people hit each other, Walter explained. Boxing, wrestling, martial arts. All about controlled combat. We pay to watch it. We climb mountains for fun, Ruth added. Jump out of aircraft with fabric parachutes. Dive deep underwater. Race vehicles at dangerous speeds. Humans love testing themselves. This explains much about your species, Rivesh said. You are not content with peace and safety. Peace and safety are great, Patricia corrected gently. We want those things. We fight for them. But we also need purpose. We need to feel useful. Sitting around being safe all the time makes us restless. David showed Ravesh more pictures of Earth. Beautiful landscapes that were also dangerous. Oceans with storms. Mountains with avalanches. Forests with predators. Deserts with extreme temperatures. This is home. We love it because it's beautiful despite the danger, maybe because of it. You have a complex relationship with your world, Ravesh observed. It tried to kill us for millions of years, Patricia said. But it also made us who we are. We're grateful for that. Earth is harsh, but it's ours. Ravesh thought about his own homeworld. Gentle, safe, carefully managed. Beautiful but predictable. He had never felt the kind of fierce love for his planet that these humans showed for theirs. Was something missing in his species? Or did humans feel things more intensely because they had to? Your daughter wants to be a doctor, Ravesh said to David. Did you tell her about getting injured? I sent her a message. Told her I was fine and that an amazing doctor saved my life. She's excited to hear about alien medicine. David smiled. She asks a million questions about everything. Wants to know how things work. Very curious kid. Curiosity is dangerous, Ravesh pointed out. It is, David agreed. But it's also how we learn and grow. We teach our children to be careful, but we also encourage questions. Better to explore and learn than to stay ignorant and safe. Even if exploration causes harm, harm can heal. Ignorance lasts forever if you let it. The visit continued until station evening. When the crew finally prepared to leave, each of them thanked Ravesh personally. Patricia gave him a small gift, a patch from their ship with the Wandering Star emblem. You're always welcome on our ship, she said. If you ever want to see how humans live and work in space, contact us. After they left, Ravesh sat in his office holding the patch and thinking about everything he had learned. Humans were not just tough survivors. They were explorers, helpers, protectors. They sought out the difficult places and the hard jobs because they could handle them, and because others needed help. The Deathworld classification was accurate, but incomplete. It told him what humans could survive. It did not tell him why they chose to use that survival ability to help others. He pinned the patch to his wall next to his medical certifications, a reminder that labels and classifications could never capture the full truth about a person or a species. His next patient would arrive soon, another routine case probably, but Ravesh found himself hoping for more opportunities to treat humans. They were fascinating people, and he had so much more to learn. Ravesh was reviewing David's final discharge papers when the alarm sounded. Not the gentle chime of a medical alert. This was the station emergency alarm, harsh and urgent, echoing through every corridor. His communicator crackled. All personnel, this is station command. We have a collision in the outer ring. Multiple casualties. Medical teams respond immediately. Ravesh grabbed his emergency kit and ran. David, scheduled for discharge in an hour, sat up in bed. What's happening? Station emergency. Stay here where it's safe. Doc, wait. David swung his legs out of bed, testing his weight. I can help. You are still recovering. I'm fine. And you'll need every hand available. Ravesh wanted to argue, but another announcement interrupted him. Medical teams, be advised. Sections 12 through 14 have environmental failure. Atmosphere compromised. Temperature controls offline. Gravity fluctuating. Rescue teams cannot access affected areas safely. David was already pulling on his uniform. That's why you need us. Humans can handle that. Us? My crew is still on station. They'll volunteer too. Trust me. They rushed to the emergency command center together. The scene was chaos. Station Commander Aldous, a tall Vrexian with blue skin, coordinated multiple teams on various screens. Injured people were being brought to triage. Engineers assessed damage reports. Patricia and the rest of David's crew arrived moments later, already suited up in emergency gear. Commander, Patricia called out. Human crew of the Wandering Star, volunteering for rescue operations in the compromised sections. Aldous looked at them with obvious relief. The affected areas are uninhabitable for most species. Temperature swings from -40 to +60 degrees. Toxic gas leaks. Gravity fluctuates between 0.4 and 2.1 standard. We have 17 beings trapped in those sections, multiple species. All will die if we cannot evacuate them within the hour. We can do it, Patricia said confidently. We'll need deck plans and life sign locations. You understand the danger? Aldous asked. We understand. Let's move. Rivesh watched the human crew gather equipment. They moved with practiced efficiency, checking each other's gear, planning their approach. David was with them, his recent injury apparently forgotten. "David, your arm," Rivesh protested, "is healed enough. People need help, Doc." "I'm not sitting this out." Rivesh wanted to argue, but he saw the determination in David's eyes. This was what humans were. This was what they did. The crew entered the compromised section through an emergency airlock. Rivesh monitored their progress on a screen in the command center, his heart's pounding with worry. The first section they entered was freezing. The temperature read -38 degrees. The humans moved through it without hesitation, their suits providing minimal insulation. They were relying on their natural resistance to temperature extremes. "First survivor located," Patricia's voice came through the communicator. "Delthian male unconscious, hypothermia, Ruth, get him." Ruth appeared on screen carrying a being twice her size. The Delthian looked fragile and blue from cold. Ruth moved steadily despite the weight and the freezing temperature. "Got him. Moving to safe zone. 2 more ahead," Walter reported. "Looks like a Fellerin and a Vrexian, both conscious but couldn't handle the cold." "David with me." Rivesh watched David and Walter navigate through a corridor filled with frozen condensation. The gravity fluctuated wildly. They adjusted their movements, experienced with variable gravity from their work in space. They reached the survivors and helped them move to safety. "Section 13 is worse," Patricia reported. "Temperature is 62 degrees, toxic gas present. Gravity at 1.9. Proceeding carefully, Rivesh saw the readings. That heat would cause organ failure in most species within minutes. The gravity would crush their bones. The gas would suffocate them. But the humans pushed forward. They found 5 survivors in Section 13, all in critical condition. The heat had overwhelmed them. The heavy gravity had injured several. Patricia coordinated the rescue with calm efficiency. "Walter, take the Terranian. David, help the 2 Quirians. Ruth, you've got the Fellerin. I'll carry the Zinthari." Each human took a survivor and began the difficult journey back. Rivesh watched them struggle under the weight, the extreme heat, the crushing gravity. Sweat poured down their faces. Their breathing was labored. But they did not stop. They did not slow down. "Gravity spike," David called out. 2.1. "Brace yourselves." The humans adjusted, bending their knees, lowering their center of gravity. They continued moving even as the increased weight should have brought them down. Their Deathworld bones and muscles handled the load. Section 14 was a nightmare. Fires had broken out. Smoke filled the corridors. Toxic fumes mixed with oxygen-depleted air. Temperature was extreme. Gravity was unstable and visibility was nearly zero. 7 survivors in Section 14, the command center reported. "Recommend abort. Conditions are too dangerous." "Negative," Patricia responded. "We're going in. Those people will die otherwise." Rivesh watched helplessly as the humans entered the worst section. Their suit cameras showed flames, smoke, sparking electrical systems. The structural integrity was failing. Metal groaned under stress. The humans split up, each heading to different survivor locations. They moved through the inferno like it was merely uncomfortable rather than deadly. They found survivors collapsed from smoke inhalation, burned by fires, crushed by debris. David found a Fellerin child trapped under a fallen beam. The child was unconscious, barely breathing. The beam was too heavy for most beings to lift. David positioned himself, planted his feet, and lifted. The beam rose. He held it, muscles straining, while Ruth pulled the child free. "Got her," Ruth said. "David, drop it." David released the beam and stumbled. His injured arm gave warning twitches but held. "I'm okay. Keep moving." They gathered all 7 survivors. Then the section began collapsing. Metal tore. Supports failed. The entire structure was coming apart. "Exit now," Patricia ordered. "Emergency route Beta. Move." The humans ran, carrying the survivors, racing against the station's structural failure. Debris fell around them. Fires spread. The gravity went wild, jumping from nearly zero to crushing weight in seconds. The humans adapted to each change, never dropping their precious cargo. They burst through the emergency airlock into the safe section with seconds to spare. Behind them, Section 14 collapsed completely, sealing itself off from the rest of the station. 17 survivors, all alive because 4 humans refused to let environmental dangers stop them. Rivesh rushed to check on David and the crew. They were exhausted, burned, bruised, gasping for air, but alive. and more concerned about the people they saved than their own injuries. Is the Faliran child okay? David asked immediately. She's alive. Thanks to you. Rivesh examined David's arm. You re-injured this. Worth it. Patricia sat heavily against a wall. Everyone accounted for? All 17 survivors secured, Commander Aldous confirmed. He approached the human crew with something like awe in his expression. You just accomplished the impossible. Those conditions would have killed my best rescue teams. You walked through them like they were minor inconveniences. Not minor, Walter gasped. That was pretty rough, actually. But necessary, Ruth added. Aldous looked at Rivesh. Doctor, these humans are remarkable. I know, Rivesh said quietly. The survivors were transported to medical care. Most would recover fully. All of them owed their lives to the human crew. Word spread quickly through the station. The humans who walked through hell to save strangers. Later, after treatment and rest, Rivesh found David in the recovery area. You risked your life today. For people you did not know. They needed help. We could provide it. Simple as that. It is not simple. Most species would not risk themselves for strangers. Maybe that's what makes us different, David said thoughtfully. Earth taught us that survival means community, means helping each other. We're built to handle extreme conditions, but we're also built to care about others. Both things come from the same place, Rivesh understood then. Humans were not just tough because of their world. Their compassion came from the same source. When survival is hard, you learn that everyone matters, that helping others is how your species continues. You are extraordinary people, Rivesh said. We're just people doing what needs doing, David replied. But thank you. The station held a ceremony honoring the human crew. They received medals and official recognition. Patricia accepted on behalf of her crew with typical human modesty, deflecting praise and emphasizing teamwork. Rivesh watched and thought about Deathworlds, about what they created. Earth had forged humans in fire and ice, in danger and struggle, but it had also taught them to stand together, to help each other, to protect the vulnerable. The Deathworld classification needed an update. It needed to include this information. That humans were not just survivors but protectors. Not just dangerous but compassionate. He would make sure that information was recorded. The medical conference room felt too formal for what Rivesh wanted to say. He stood before the Galactic Medical Council's review board, 12 physicians from various species, all watching him with varying degrees of skepticism. His presentation displayed on the large screen behind him, filled with data, scans, and observations from David's treatment and the rescue operation. The current Deathworld protocol for humans is incomplete, Rivesh stated. It focuses entirely on danger assessment and biological warnings. It fails to provide context that would help medical professionals and station personnel interact effectively with humans. An elderly Xanthari physician leaned forward. Dr. Rivesh, the protocol exists to protect others from Deathworld species. Humans are classified as Class 12 Deathworlders for good reason. I do not dispute the classification, Rivesh replied. I am suggesting we expand it. Add information about human psychology, social behavior, and cultural values. Understanding humans as people, not just as biological hazards. He brought up images from the rescue operation. 4 humans entered environmental conditions that would kill most of us within minutes. They rescued 17 beings from 6 different species. One of them did this while recovering from significant injuries. This is not random behavior. This is consistent with human nature. A Felarin physician, Dr. Manesh, raised her hand. You are saying humans are naturally helpful? That seems at odds with their violent evolutionary history. Their violent history shaped their cooperation, Rivesh explained. He displayed data about Earth's harsh conditions. Humans survived by working together, by protecting their communities. Their capacity for violence exists alongside their capacity for compassion. Both are survival traits from their death world. He showed footage from the rescue. David lifting the beam off the trapped child. Patricia coordinating her team through the collapsing section. Ruth carrying beings larger than herself to safety. Walter navigating toxic environments without hesitation. These actions were not anomalies. I have researched human history and current activities. Humans consistently seek roles that involve helping others in dangerous situations. They volunteer for rescue operations. They work in disaster zones. They take supply routes other species avoid. This is a species-wide behavioral pattern. Another physician spoke up. Are you suggesting we trust deathworlders based on sentiment rather than safety? I am suggesting we include accurate information about human behavior in our protocols. Currently, the classification causes fear and misunderstanding. Medical staff are afraid to treat humans. Station personnel avoid them. This serves no one. Ravesh pulled up his medical notes from David's case. I nearly refused to treat my patient due to fear. That fear came from incomplete information. The protocol told me humans were dangerous. It did not tell me they were also reasonable, communicative, and cooperative patients. It did not mention their remarkable healing ability or their high pain tolerance. It did not explain their psychological resilience. He showed the custom treatment he developed. I had to create new medical protocols because the existing ones did not account for human biology. This information should be available to all medical professionals. We should not require each doctor to start from nothing when treating humans. Dr. Suresh, who had helped save David, spoke from the audience. I support Dr. Rivesh's proposal. His work has given us valuable data about human treatment protocols. This information could save lives, both human and otherwise. The board members discussed among themselves. Ravesh waited, hoping his arguments would be enough. He thought about David, who should be preparing to leave the station soon, returning to his ship and his dangerous but necessary work. The head of the board, a distinguished Turanian named Dr. Velsh, finally spoke. Dr. Ravesh, your data is compelling. However, changing official protocols requires extensive review. This could take months or years. Ravesh felt disappointment but pressed on. Could we at least add a supplementary file? Additional information that medical professionals could access voluntarily? Not changing the warnings, just adding context. Dr. Velsh considered this. A supplementary file would not require full protocol revision. That could be approved much faster. She looked at the other board members. Does anyone object to creating supplementary documentation about human psychological and social characteristics? The board voted. 8 in favor, 3 abstaining, 1 opposed. It was not perfect, but it was progress. Prepare your supplementary file, Dr. Ravesh, Dr. Velsh said. We will review it for accuracy and approval. If it meets standards, it will be added to the medical database within 2 weeks. Thank you. Ravesh felt relief wash over him. After the meeting, Dr. Suresh approached him. Well done. You are changing how we think about deathworlders. I am trying to help people see humans as more than their classification. That lesson extends beyond humans. There are other deathworld species out there. If we learn to see past fear and danger ratings, we might discover similar stories. Ravesh had not considered that. Were there other species like humans? Other deathworlders who use their strength to help rather than harm? It was worth investigating. He returned to the medical bay to find David preparing to leave. His belongings were packed. His uniform was clean. He looked healthy and strong, showing few signs of his recent ordeal. Heard your presentation went well, David said. News travels fast. Station's not that big. People talk. David smiled. Thank you for doing that. For trying to help others understand us better. You taught me to look past classifications. I am simply sharing what I learned. David extended his hand. Ravesh had learned this was a human gesture of respect and friendship. He took David's hand, feeling the firm grip, the warmth of human body temperature that had once seemed like a dangerous fever. If you are ever on Earth, look me up, David said. My family would love to meet you. My daughter especially. She wants to hear all about alien medicine. I would like that. Ravesh realized he meant it. Earth had seemed like a nightmare world. Now he was curious to see it. And if you ever need a ship, David added, the Wandering Star has space for passengers. Patricia meant it when she said you're welcome aboard. They said their goodbyes. Ravesh watched David leave the medical bay, walking with confidence despite everything he had been through. The human waved once before disappearing around a corner. Ravesh returned to his office and began compiling his supplementary file. He included everything he had learned. Human pain tolerance and healing rates, their temperature regulation and environmental adaptability, their adrenaline response and protective instincts, their social bonding patterns and cooperative behavior, their tendency to help others even at personal cost. He wrote about human culture too, their love for their harsh homeworld, their food that was toxic to other species but brought them joy, their pets that were predators but also family, their children who climbed trees and broke bones while learning to be strong. Days passed. The file grew. Other medical professionals who had treated humans contributed their observations. A picture emerged of a species that was dangerous, yes, but also dependable, compassionate, and trustworthy. The Galactic Medical Council approved the supplementary file with minor edits. It went live in the medical database 2 weeks after Rivesh's presentation. Within days, he received messages from medical professionals across the galaxy, thank you notes from doctors who found the information useful, questions from those preparing to treat their first human patient, stories from others who had similar experiences with humans and felt validated by the official documentation. One message came from a station far out on the frontier. A doctor there had successfully treated a human using Rivesh's protocols. The human was a volunteer medic working in a disaster zone. The doctor wrote that she had been terrified at first, but the supplementary file helped her see the human as a patient rather than a threat. The treatment was successful, and the human was already back to helping others. Rivesh felt proud. His work was making a difference. Months later, he received a package from Earth. Inside was a photo of David with his family. His wife smiling. His daughter now wearing a toy stethoscope, pretending to be a doctor. A note was included. Dear Dr. Rivesh, thank you for saving my dad and for helping people understand us better. When I grow up, I want to be a doctor who helps everyone no matter where they are from, just like you. Your friend, Sophie Reed. Rivesh placed the photo on his desk next to the succulent David had given him. The plant was thriving, growing strong in the artificial environment of the station, surviving and thriving just like the human who gave it to him. His next patient file appeared on his screen. Another human. The Deathworld classification was still there, red and prominent, but now there was a link to the supplementary file. Additional information to help medical professionals understand their patient as a person. Rivesh opened the file and began reading. This patient was a cargo hauler who had been injured during a ship repair. Standard accident, nothing unusual. The patient was already being brought to the medical bay. Rivesh felt no fear. Just professional interest and, if he was honest, a little excitement. Every human he met taught him something new. This one would probably be no different. The door opened. A young human female entered, supported by 2 crew members. She was clearly in pain but smiling apologetically. Sorry for the trouble, Doc, she said. I was being careless, Rivesh smiled back. No trouble at all. Please sit down. Tell me what happened. As he began his examination, he thought about classifications and labels, about how they could inform but also limit understanding. The Deathworld protocol was necessary and accurate, but it was not the whole story. It would never be the whole story. People were always more complicated than their labels, more interesting than their classifications, more remarkable than any database entry could capture. You're going to be fine, he told his patient. I have experience with human medicine now. You are in good hands, she relaxed visibly. That's good to hear. My crew said you were the best doctor on the station for treating humans. Rivesh felt warmth at those words. He had come a long way from the terrified physician who opened David's file that first day. He had learned to see past the warnings and classifications, to see the person beneath. Let us begin treatment, he said, pulling up his scanner. And perhaps you can tell me about your ship. I find human stories fascinating. She smiled and began talking. Rivesh listened, learning once again that every human had unique experiences worth hearing. Every person had value beyond their classification. The Deathworld protocol was just the beginning of understanding. The real knowledge came from connection, from listening, from caring enough to see past the surface, and Rivesh was grateful for the chance to learn.